GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com. And welcome, everybody, to our weekly wrap-up where we take a look back at the week to mention the things that are worth mentioning and to help archive some of this information. Makes it a little easier at the end of the year to go back and see what all happened, or in future years trying to remember when things happened. Also lets people who are busy have a weekly or one place to check out some Second Amendment focused stuff each week. We definitely want to thank our Patreons. We would not be able to put time towards this without the support of people that subscribe to what we do over on the Patreon platform and on the YouTube platform. So thanks for those folks for giving us the time to do this. We're doing this live, so we do it at midnight. It's what time our podcast is once we can start doing the podcast again. So thanks to everybody for joining us live. I don't know if G23 is still out there. He was the first one in here. Unapologetically Armed is out there. It's like Triggerology also out there, and Guns of Barbecue. Very 2A audience tonight. Thanks everybody for joining us. As I'm talking here, I'm also getting ready to screen share, so you don't need a screen, but if you are watching a screen, I'm bringing up my desktop over here, and what we'll be doing is bringing up essentially the description of this video. Desktop over here. Here we go. I guess firstly, I will make a quick poll. Traditionally, we ask, how was this week for 2A? And then we've got options of great week, and then we can also go along with good week. We can go with okay week or bad week. So let us know if you want to vote in that poll, and we'll get an idea of what people think. Oh, Barbecue just dropped a $2 super chat. Thank you very much for that. I'll leave that up on screen for a bit. Thanks for the $2. Definitely use that. And let's see. So we're going to be taking a look at the description of this video. Although you can see from looking at it on the screen here, it's pretty boring. So what we'll do instead is we post this on our Patreon account. We post this on the newsletter. We send out a newsletter. And we put it out on Substack, which is essentially a blog. But it looks a lot better than YouTube. So what we'll do is jump over to Substack. And we'll go through this week's show over here. If I can get it to zoom in. There we go. So this is episode 1544, 1544. And I guess for those of you that aren't paying attention, it's the 7th of July, 7723. All right, so let's dig in. Like I say, we have the newsletter. You can join that if you want. Don't join it if you're not interested in it, because it costs money to send that out, and our Patreons are the ones making that possible, so I don't like wasting their money. But if you would rather have this in an email, then feel free to join that newsletter. We put it over on Substack, so if you want to read what we're looking at right here, Substack is the subscription there. Doesn't cost nothing. Instagrams are okay. Everybody's heading over to Threads now. I don't know how many people are going to do that. And then here's the show over on YouTube. So let's dig in. First thing we got is our friend Mike White over in California. I'm going to mute it. I don't think he's got any music.
Happy birthday, Shorty.
So that's little Shorty, little dog, 2 years old, having a lot of fun with a little new toy. And very similar dog bed to what the dog's got in the van. So we'll start off the show with puppy. There you got a puppy butt. All right, so each week we like to focus on the stuff that's in 2A. We put some of the more 2A stuff at the front here, and one of the most 2A things that happen each week is Brooke Cheney's focus on suicide prevention and mental health awareness. we all know, people that are paying attention, that 2 out of every 3 deaths that involve a firearm are suicide. And the other side requires that people don't pay attention to that, don't put 2 and 2 together. So Brooke offers insight and awareness, not just on how to have conversations with people who might be struggling, but also, as important, having conversations with just people in general about these issues. Being more comfortable, more aware of the conversation makes you more useful within those conversations. So thanks for Brooke for a consistent effort on putting out a show every weeknight or every Saturday to chat about that and to, again, change the perception of that conversation. Along those lines, I haven't done one of these shows in a couple of weeks, so we have a couple of weeks worth of things to chat about. The show, Brooke's show from 2 weeks ago, she had a special guest, and they talked about breathing, breath work, and how that can be helpful. And that was a great show. Defense Dad is also out there. Good afternoon. Triggerology saying I'm staying away from Threads. Yeah, it sounds like when you join Threads, you can't unjoin it without removing your Instagram channel. So I'm thinking I'll just start a new Threads instead of trying to attach it to anything else, because it is Meta, and I'm not a big fan of Meta products or hanging out over there, really. But you can either ignore the new platforms as they come along or participate in them. The ratio of ones that stick around to the ratio of ones that, the ratio of ones that stick around to the ratio of ones that come and go. There's way more that come and go, but gives you some insight, keeps you flexible, gives you experience. On the other hand, because they come and go, you could easily ignore them and you'd do just as good, more than likely. So another forum, another media platform would be television, and not that much happens on television. The cost and the barrier to production over there is pretty high. But Sisters in Arms, Renee and Carrie Ann, do a what is that called? Community access show. So a very economical option for getting a weekly program focused on Second Amendment in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. As a couple ladies who are interested and advocates, I guess. And in this episode, they're talking to Joe Eaton from Faster Saves Lives. Those are great episodes, and usually around 20 minutes, so definitely consumable. All right, next up is Locked and Loaded. Latinos, they do a show each week focused on news of the week, Second Amendment firearms, and then pop culture. They've been paying a little bit more attention to news and issues than the pop culture side of it, but to be fair, there hasn't been a lot of new movies or anything coming out. Watching their show develop and grow over the years has been interesting, especially as they get more and more involved and popular with the video game crew that they're with. And, again, they've been pretty capable of bringing their gun and Second Amendment information across with them into those gaming communities. Interesting update that we get once a month from the American Suppressor Association. So I don't have to read or listen to the whole thing. We'll just jump over to their video and look at the description of it. But it is a decent update.
Hey y'all, Doc's here with you.
It's only 4 minutes long. I might as well just play it, I suppose. I'm going to play it here. Let's just play it.
American Suppressor Association. Welcome to the June 2023 Suppressor Policy Update. Let's get things started with the wait times.
Can you hear this all right?
In May, wait times were averaging 232 days for e-form 4s and 312 days for paper forms. Either way, I personally think that's far too long. Director Dettelbach, what are your thoughts?
I would agree with you that the processing times are too long.
It's nice that we agree on that front. The question is, how do we get rid of the wait times altogether? One answer is the Hearing Protection Act, and on that front, an exciting new development has arisen. On May 31st, the Academy of Doctors of Audiology sent a letter to Representative Jeff Duncan and Senator Mike Crapo endorsing the Hearing Protection Act. In the letter, they state, ADA is committed to advancing public policy initiatives related to hearing loss prevention and early intervention. Therefore, ADA endorses the Hearing Protection Act to provide improved access to firearm noise suppressors to support hearing conservation. With the letter, ADA became the second independent medical group specializing in hearing to support the Hearing Protection Act, the first being the National Hearing Conservation Association. Now, it's no secret that the HPA isn't going to become law this Congress, but ADA's support is a tremendous step forward in the fight to deregulate suppressors. Suppressors are an essential tool that help mitigate preventable hearing damage, and the more independent experts that weigh in, the higher the likelihood that one day we'll get the HPA across the finish line. All that to say, here's where we stand with the wait times today. At the time of filming, ATF's website, which was last updated on May 1st, still says the wait times are the same. We've reached out to ATF multiple times, and if we can get an update for you before we publish this video, we will put the new numbers in the graphic above. Speaking of ATF, ASA has been working with the Bureau to provide basic error resolution capabilities for E-Form 4s that have clerical errors holding up the transfer. Common clerical errors include things like misspelling your address or accidentally typing your birth year as 1874 instead of 1974, but they do not include answers that make you a prohibited person. Those are grounds for denial, and there's nothing that can be done about that. Well, ATF has agreed to implement an error resolution process within 48 hours of notifying the NFA dealer that submitted the application. ASA is working to extend that time frame with a goal of 7 to 10 business days. At the end of the day, we appreciate ATF for reintroducing error resolution to the process, so folks are honest with you.
All right, you get the point. I'm not going to play the last 2 minutes because it's getting super boring. I don't know if you can hear it or not. I'm back and forth with the American Suppressor Association. I understand what they've got to do, and it's a tough fight. But at the same time, we could get rid of those wait times by getting rid of the NFA also. So HPA, Hearing Protection Act, which is a bill that gets presented pretty much yearly, and in 2018 had a really good likelihood of getting through as far as it ever had before as a because there was so many other things going through, the odds were that they were going to have to accept the Hearing Protection Act because the option would be to take even worse anti or pro-gun stuff. But of course, all that ended when something happened in Las Vegas and everybody stopped any push for any of these things. So now they're talking about making forms easier and talking about wait times, which are things that they pay attention to, but at the same time, great to see these not need to exist because of no NFA. All right, so then we get to, that was ASA, American Suppressor Association. Now we're moving on to Gun Freedom Radio. They had a couple of things this week. They've been posting videos of SHOT Show, some interviews they did in the media room of SHOT Show. And if you watch this video, Gizzard's sitting over here. I think Obnoxious is over here. This might be, pretty sure that's Gizzard. And this might be, oh, you know who that is? That is, what's his face? That's what's his face. The content creator formerly known as Budget. And then you also have Sarge was sitting there for a bit, and Snob was sitting there, and some other people. So a whole bunch of people are sitting over in this corner during that interview, FYI. Then you get Gun Freedom Radio from last week. They've had quite a few interviews, but these are the two I picked. This one was because it was in SHOT Show, and they were talking to Riding Shotgun with Charlie and Petrolino, the two Second Amendment Foundation blogger of the years for 2 subsequent years there. Then you've got Craig, who is from California, been a longtime advocate and activist for Second Amendment and gun-related issues, who's now running for California Congress. So for the state of California, for the Congress of the United States. It's great to see more people on our side running for office. Is that the next evolution? We'll see. Hopefully we'll move on towards seeing many politicians who come in because of the persecution and marginalization of guns and gun owners, and then are going to be not easily manipulated people and representatives for other issues out there too. Interesting future. Hopefully we'll see these folks get elected, Craig and those like him. So normally we're going to talk about the radio shows a little bit later in the description here, but this week because of the 4th holiday, they recorded Rapid Fire radio interview with Bill Whittle, and it was a good one. So it's an hour long, and it's to some extent it's just a typical conversation, but they do get into some very interesting elements. I'm going to see if I can't find. I should have.
Things Second Amendment.
Somewhere up here, though. It's like
Assault
towards the
weapons
3/4 of the
no
way
other purpose
through.
than to kill as many people in as short amount of time as possible. Weapons of war, our nation's founders never.
So Toby's talking about something that's coming up.
Then they would have said the right of the right to keep and bear non-military weapons shall not be infringed.
Yeah,
but that's not what they wrote.
And I like to point out a lot of times that what kicked off the whole American Revolution was the fact that the Brits were coming.
Oh, it didn't work. Let me see if I can't
to
skip
get the
ahead
arms
a
and
little
the
bit.
power. The problem with goes into the manufacturing availability of revisionist.
Oh, you know how I
history
might
after-
be able to find it? Is let's go open this up in a new tab, and then let's go down to, as soon as it opens all the way here, let's go down to these little dots.
Oh, you got Detroit, in a lot of cases, the people that actually could use a firearm to protect themselves are highly restricted.
Well, actually, let's play this part.
Absolutely.
And we couldn't get it, you'd think it couldn't get any worse under the prior mayor of Chicago, but now under the new mayor, it seems to be getting 10 times worse. We had the whole Juneteenth celebrations ending in gunfire in Chicago, and it's sad, it's heartbreaking, honestly. And we're just pouring liquid, gasoline onto a raging fire and expecting different results every time it's dry.
Yeah, you want to say to these grandmas against gun violence exactly what you just said. Well, why are you here? Why don't you go down to South Central LA? And they'll tell you, well, I don't want to go down there. That's nuts. I'll get killed.
Right.
Well, how's that?
Triggerology brings that up quite a bit in his posts, FYI.
Possible, man. They have much stricter gun control laws there than they do here. You'd be moving into a safer zone according to your logic. I mean, they have all kinds of restrictive gun control laws down there. What do you mean you don't feel safe down there? You've got the gun control laws to protect you. Why aren't you down there on the middle of the street? This is just, look, it's so insane that it's not an accident. There are a number of people.
This is a pretty good point right here.
On the left who are told what the current thing is that they're supposed to support, and then they support it. And they've been told their entire lives that gun control saves lives. And there's not a piece of evidence that this is true. There's mountains of data that says it isn't, but that's not important, which means that the people who are telling them this know this, right? They know. And this is the thing that's so remarkable about these anti-gun bills, is that they are not going after the weapons of the people who are committing the crimes. They're going after the weapons of the people who have weapons in order to deter their government from doing what out of control lunatics like Gavin Newsom really want to do, which is to tell you what to do. And if you don't do it, then he's going to make you do it.
Right.
And this kind of, tie-dyed fascism that we see among guys like this is everywhere. And I got to tell you, this is the part that's really the most disturbing to me, is that we are allowing a great deal of this country to be damaged at the hands of these weenies. That's the thing I can't bear, I mean, if there were Nazis or communists or somebody with machine guns, at least then you could say, well, I had to. So
if there was actual adversaries that were capable working against us, it could be possible to go, oh, we gave it a good fight, right? But instead, here's what he's saying.
Keep my head down. But what have they got? What have they actually got to enforce this gigantic change? Well, they're going to call you a bad name? Well, yeah, turns out that good people don't want to be called bad names, and good people will generally do what they can to avoid being labeled as racist or homophobes or transphobes or whatever else they want to call you. And so if you tell a bunch of people, hey, shut up, you racist, the only people that actually shut up are people who don't want to be perceived as racist. Actual racists, if you said, shut up, you racist, say, damn right, I'm a racist. Look at my armband. I got the pointy hat on. And so it's so blatantly obvious what they're doing. And all of this comes back to me just coming to say, look, I'm not expecting them to be virtuous. I'm not expecting them to be the good guys. It's not their job to be the good guys.
See, very practical. Don't expect them to change their minds. Expect them to do what they do.
Guys, they're the bad guys. My problem is, why is it the good guys are allowing this to happen, and why can we not make this very simple, obvious case on a national level as beyond me? Beyond me.
Yeah, and the point is,
well, I will keep getting, but I think they did a really good job of thrashing some actual issues in this 1 hour episode. You've got Professor Yamane, who represented gun ownership at a symposium in Vail held by some kind of I forget what the place was called. Some kind of a place that holds conversations on controversial issues, I guess. And they were talking about gun violence, of course, not just violence, but gun violence, because they need to demonize the item. And he was the one voice from the perspective of someone who understands guns and gun ownership. And he talks about the reaction to his presentation, which is interesting. We, again, can't expect people who have agendas or are narrow-minded or are ignorant to just immediately understand our position. So following the people who are actually creating inroads and reaching across and offering perspective from our position to the others is interesting. And you can either ignore that this is happening or support and follow these people or encourage and participate in their efforts or not really, just complain about how the ad ties don't come over to our side, which is unrealistic actually. So Professor Yamane had given away a book and somebody didn't claim it. So then I was the second place runner up and I got it. So he sent me one, but then the first person came back and said he was out of town. So I think he had to end up buying another book. So either way, I got a free book out of it. Thanks for that. Have not read it because it's called Merchants of the Right, Gun Sellers and the Crisis of American Democracy. So it's a bunch of garbage. But I might skim it and do some kind of a review. Thanks again for the chance to have some anti-gun garbage in my house in case I need to start a fire or butt wipe. Let's see. So Gunmetal Guy is saying, I've stopped being surprised years ago at how stupid the average person is. This bad to say, yes, it's wrong. No. Well, I don't agree necessarily. The person, stupid is just the wrong word, I think. Unaware, not giving a crap. It's kind of the point. We wouldn't doom our friends to be obligated with burden that isn't necessary. So, it's up to the person, and we don't need all hands on deck all the time. That's another thing. Let's not get discouraged when everybody isn't on board. Some people aren't going to be able to be on board. I can tell you from personal experience, there's times when you can be on board, and there's times when it's worth risking things to be on board, and there's times when you just can't be on board, whether or not you want to be. So some people get discouraged and quit. You're allowed to. Some people get discouraged and figure it's not worth it because they don't like the people. That happens all the time. So there's reasons why people come and go. I wouldn't get too concerned that people aren't paying attention, but if they're not paying attention when the information is in front of them, that's more of on them than if they were never given the information. So let's first give them the information, and once it's readily available, let's see what happens. Because I'm sure most people, my thought is that most people are going to, when given the facts, make an actual decision. Right now, they're not given the facts. They don't have the facts. I guess since I'm over here, I'll say thanks again to the barbecue for the $2. Do appreciate it. Just got actually a whole bunch of stuff in front of me right now. Literally stuff in front of me right now that I have to find where the bags are to put this stuff in. But if I flip this over and go like this maybe, yeah, you can see the piles and piles of various patches here that are going out to the store. Got a couple Thunder on the Prairies, got a whole bunch of the breakfast ones. Got some Chairs Against the Walls, 3 different types. Where's the other type? Oh, 3 different colors, maybe not 3 different types. And then some of the playing cards. So been sewing. It's really hot, so it's difficult to sew in there. But all this stuff will be going up on the store. So thanks for the people that are helping keeping what we're doing on the line. Speaking of that, it's Amazon Prime Day on the 11th and 12th. I don't know how many people shop on the Amazon store, but on the 11th and 12th, the Amazon store is having all kinds of specials and incentives for people who are in their Amazon Prime membership thing. So Amazon Prime is a special elite level that they offer. I think it's like $12 a month or something, or it's $12 a year. I don't know. It might be $12 a year. It's not very expensive. But you can get a 30-day free trial, see what you like it or not. And as a Prime member, not only do you get all these Prime deals on Prime Day on the 11th and 12th, and you'll also be able to watch movies over there. And I just got done watching the 3 seasons of, what's it called? Jack. I keep wanting to say Jack Reacher. It's not Reacher, though. It was the other one. Clear and Present Danger guy. I don't know the name of it out there. But I just got done watching those that I'd watched season 1 before, but I just got done watching season 2 and 3 while I was doing some other projects. And yeah, pretty good series. It's not my favorite. There are a couple of weird things in there. Jack Ryan. Yeah, thank you. So by being a Prime member, you can watch stuff like that. The Jack Reacher show is pretty good too, though. I really like that one. Actually like that one. Probably better than the Jack Ryan one, only there's way more Jack Ryan ones, so that's worth checking out. Anyway, so Prime is something that you can try for a month for free, and by doing that, you actually help us out. So Amazon is interesting store. They offer people who are working with them kickbacks, essentially, like cuts, commissions. So by sending people over to the Amazon Prime, check it out for free. You're actually helping us out. And if you end up buying something on Prime Day, we encourage you to check out our storefront. We have links all over the place to that. And again, you can help us out, help other people out by going through our storefronts and grabbing stuff on Amazon when you do. All right, that being said, thanks for the people that participate that way. Again, for helping keep our projects online. Got a link in there in the middle of the Substack. That's what we're looking at here. All right, next up is Barbecue, who was just out here snapping. Does a show on Tuesday, so you might want to check that out. Keeping everybody together and focused on Second Amendment stuff on Tuesday evenings. Why do I get you in here twice? So you had one on the last week, and then you had one this week. I guess you just had 2 different thumbnails on there. Then we have a video from Defense Dad, who is over here. I don't know if he's still out there or not. Did a tour of the Nebraska Shooters, the facility that did or that hosted Thunder on the Prairie this year, and not amazing. It's more of a description of the property. I think there's somebody else that walked around and like got more video tour type of thing. This is more of an interview, a description of the history and the facility. Speaking of facilities, on Wednesdays we got on Saturdays we got the overnight. So this last Saturday, I had a conversation about who. Wait, this was 2 weeks ago. Had a conversation about who is responsible for defending gun rights. Good conversations that happen overnight. Now, if Saturday overnights aren't working for you, you might want to check out Wednesdays. For the moment, the Wednesday ones are on hold, so these will actually be happening on every other Saturday. But the Mouse Party is a unscripted, non-topic conversation that gets hosted by DM Foss. Again, for people that are third shift, people that are night owls, people that are insomniacs, people that are getting work done while everybody else is asleep. Speaking of everybody else being asleep, did you know it was George's 9th birthday? Yep, that little kitten is 9 years old. And that was Gizzard's show last week. He just got done with the show this week. He's always posting plugs for our gear website store. Much appreciated. And keeps the community together, hosting a live conversation each week. Speaking of a live conversation each week, for the last 218 weeks, Roll Call's been doing his show. Its channel is called Roll Call 219, and he said he's going to end his series at episode 219, which will be next week. So this was his second to the last show. He had a bunch of special guests on. I didn't get to watch that one. I was out doing something that day. Then we have, but I think the spoiler alert, it sounds like he's going to just start another show up at some point. So I don't think he's leaving YouTube or anything. He's just ending this run. Then we get Shooting in the Woods. Used to be Shooting Gallery New England. I think now it's Shooting Gallery Florida or something. And had an interview with Tony Simon, sponsored by Aegis. Aegis is all over the place if you keep an eye out. Let's see. There was a 4th of July Independence Day campaign project, collaborative effort with the hashtag Let Freedom Ring. I heard about it in, I can't remember. I think it was in Foss's show. So a bunch of people were talking about it. A bunch of people posted videos. A couple of them that I've posted here is this one from Foss, where he's out shooting some kind of a wonder gun at the range. Then you've got this one from Kingpin, who's talking about the project and some of the other people that are participating in it, from probably Georgia Shooting Connection, I'm assuming. And then you got Chris from 740 also participating in it. Everybody's doing their own thing. Last up, we got Patriot from one of his range trips and shooting 40. But again, kind of a cool idea to do a bunch of posts on Independence Day at 5 p.m. Eastern. Wait, 4 p.m. Eastern? I don't remember. 5 p.m. Eastern? Something like that. But it was, the idea was to coordinate a bunch of posts with the same hashtag. I was on with Yankee and Matt the other night. I think Yankee tries to do that every other week, and then it doesn't always work out. At least we don't all get in there all at the same time, so it's been a little while since we were all three in there. It was a good conversation, I guess. I don't know. Political conversation last week. Unpolitical, we got Clover, who mansplains to people about their videos now. It's his thing to do. He was mansplaining to She Fires about shooting a little tiny revolver. You watch that if you want. Now you've got the CMP, an actual company that is designed to get firearms into the hands of civilians so that marksmanship training can be more, to facilitate firearms training, marksmanship training, to help coordinate and maintain the shooting competitions that happen throughout the year. So unlike some of the other organizations like NSSF, who I'm looking at right now, who's wasting everybody's time and effort telling us about scopes and stuff, we got CMP over here telling us about all the gear you need to take to a high power match. I'm not going to play this video. I'm just going to say not every video is good, and almost a lot of people can be doing a lot better job. This could have been a much better video, but at least it worked. And, they'll learn from it and hopefully get some experience. There's something going on over at Dragon Man's.
Big surprise is we're going to actually have company vendors out here from the industry shoot their products and test them out firsthand on our 100-yard range for only $20. We're also going to be giving away a free Dragon swag bag to the first 40 people through the door, and we'll also have raffles, giveaways, It'll be a really fun weekend.
Well, this is going to be the biggest thing we ever did. I'll have the museum open Saturday and Sunday starting at 10 o'clock. $20 per person. Takes about 2 hours to go through the museum. One of the best in the country. We're going to demonstrate the flamethrowers, all kinds of machine guns. You guys are going to have a blast.
We'll have interactive targets out here to generate a whole bunch of cool like steel targets to shoot at. So come on out, save the date, put it in your calendar, and make sure that you are here September 16th or 17th. We'll see you guys then.
You don't want to miss it. This is going to be the biggest event we ever had. It might be so big, it might be the last one.
Big surprise.
So I don't know, Melissa kind of laughed at the end there, but Dragon Man did say it. So here's the deal. 2023, you have who knows what's in front of you. You know where we came from. And in 2023, you got time to plan to go to Dragon Man's machine gun shoot, which is like September. And when he closes down the museum for the end of the year. Maybe it's late. I don't remember when it is. So he's going to do this machine gun shoot, and it's $20. And now he's bringing out vendors. So Melissa started going to SHOT Show, and she's running the shop, and you can tell the Dragon Man is way more into the museum. He's letting her take the shop over, and she's growing. She's making it bigger. So eventually it's going to be a bigger event than it is right now. Right now, you're essentially going over to a friend's house and shooting machine guns with other friends. It's as close to a bunch of people getting together and having a machine gun shoot together that exists in 2023. I've been to a bunch of them, and I've watched video from the rest of them. So I've got a pretty good finger on what these things are. This is one that isn't going to go away, but it's going to get larger so that what it is now will become a thing of the past. So if you really want to be a part of something that's truly truly from the United States, truly from the gun culture, and truly authentic, nothing crazy or weird about it, then consider getting to Dragon Man's. He's not paying me, but I'm just telling you, it's not like you're going to miss out on something that'll never happen before. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it'll stay the same way for a few more years, and you'll have another opportunity. But I guarantee you, it's changing. It's different than the last time I went there, and it'll be different going forward. So if you want, go check out Honda. I know it's a weird channel to watch, but he does have a pretty decent tour of Dragon Man's. And Guy 45 jumps in here once in a while. He's one of the third shifters. He's got an interesting couple of videos from a time he went up to bring his kid up to the machine gun shoot, and they ended up stuffing mags for Dragon Man for the whole day of the event. So pretty neat. Right on. Yeah, I appreciate it. See, Chris from 740 is out there, and Gunmetal Guy is saying I agree with their analysis. Appreciate it. Yep, I think I figured as much. But I get you. It's frustrating. I just don't get frustrated at the people who haven't paid attention to this at all. Because I think of all the stuff I could care less about. So here's something that you may or may not care at all about. This is kind of a off-topic tangent, but I live in Arizona and I like animals, so it's going to happen. Here in Arizona, we have the game and fish. I know in other states you call it different things. But in Arizona, the Department of State Government that's tasked with monitoring and stewardship of our wildlife natural resources, and, well, the game animals and fish, but also the non-game animals, would be our Arizona Game and Fish Department. And they do all kinds of different efforts to both preserve what's supposed to be here, maintain the levels of things that were brought here. We have mostly a lot of critters that were brought to this region that wouldn't have naturally lived here. And then to eradicate the stuff that shouldn't be here, the stuff that's destroying the streams. For example, crayfish, which have no business in Arizona. They destroy the environments or the microenvironments or whatever of the creeks and just make it inhospitable to other critters. So they do quite a few different tasks, but all centered around wildlife. And this is essentially a quick, like 2-minute something video where they walk up into the deserts, a couple of 5 miles to find a place where they'll create a place like this to collect water when it's raining and then store that water and offer that water to wildlife throughout the year. And this is them hiking up there to monitor the station, but also to install a satellite sensor. So kind of gives you one little pause to think about our critters out there. We're a country that cares about our natural resources, both living and mineral and forest and the rest. But we task that to the individual states, and they do that in different ways with different ideas and different ambitions and different goals. But they work together and sometimes don't work together. So we're not the only ones in the gun community that's having these issues. Lots of different communities have to deal with this struggle. We can be the example. We can set an example for other communities which don't have foundational interest in their things that they're focused on. That's a pretty interesting climb to get out of there. Dang. So, little insight to a little chunk of Arizona and a little, actually a medium amount of effort put out there in the middle of nowhere to keep animals hydrated. Let's see, where are they? This is probably south of me. I don't know if they said in here where it is, but this looks like south of me. That's what bighorns look like. Actually, this could be, no, this probably is south of me. Anyhow, so, that's a bunch of money they're spending out there. It's a bunch of effort. And, just a little FYI, something's happening in your state. Sometimes more elaborate, sometimes less. If you got a lot of private land, there's not a lot of state level stuff that's going to happen. But anyway, we'll get back to gun stuff here in a second. Let's see. So nobody's saying anything live. Patriot posted the other day this citizenship practice test. So I don't know if this is official or not, but it seemed interesting. So what happened? I'm going to jump back over to the video and look at the poll. So I'm going to take a second here, look at the poll we started earlier, and with a bunch of votes coming in, it looks like 43% say it's a great week, 29% saying it's an okay week, and then a tie, 14% saying good, 14% saying bad. So I don't know why anybody's saying bad week or great week, so feel free to elaborate on why it's an okay week. Well, on what your answer is, I guess. So when we go look at this practice test, pretty interesting. So I know that some channels hate brackets. Some people like brackets. What do people think about doing an online citizenship test? So thanks to Patriot for posting that. Do you think you could pass an online citizenship test? I guess I'll post a link so you can go find out for yourselves. Everybody can say thanks to Patriot for making this link available. Hopefully it's not some kind of scam. I don't think it is. I don't think you got to pay nothing for it. I didn't. So put this like this. Boom. All right, getting it back to the gun stuff. We got Cape Gun Works. As I mentioned earlier, they had on dude we were listening to before from, why can't I think of his name now? Listening to Bill Whittle. There we go. Can't think of his name because I kept getting them confused with Four Boxes Diner. So Cape Gun Works goes live every Wednesday, and they record their radio show, and they stream that recording on YouTube, and are very interactive. So as the radio show goes on a commercial or different parts in the show, depending on the topics and stuff, Toby, the host of the show, will pay attention to what people are saying in the chat, and that becomes part of the show. So it's a lot of fun being part of the radio show. And then the second hour of the show is a conversation. And then last week it was an interview with Mark Smith from Four Boxes Diner, who's been on before. So it's more of just a long conversation with someone they know, focused on these conversations. All right, I'm coughing. So definitely worth listening to. I liked Bill Wood a little bit more, but still a good conversation with Four Boxes Diner there. So a couple of the things I'll listen to each week are military interview shows. There's a couple of different ones that I think are the best. Mike Ritland, Mic Drop, is the first one. And this is a guy talking about being a Texas Highway Patrol near the border, with international border with Mexico. There was the Team House, had a guy on who's what is this? Something I never heard of before. Some kind of essentially like a recon. No, it's not really recon. It's a type. It's an element of the Marines that I had never heard of before. But good conversation, really good conversation. At first, I thought this guy was from like Italy or something, but it turns out they're. I don't think they're MARSOC, but they're a part of the Marines that get assigned to special operations units to just do whatever needs to be done. So very high end unit with a lot of interesting like adventures. Then we have a combat story. So there's SEAL, who was a dog handler. Then you've got Green Beret and Ranger, who interview long conversations that are live. This is people show up in Texas and have this long conversation, sometimes 3 hours long, 4 hours long, with Mike, but they're at his place in Texas where he rehabilitates the war dogs. And then this is people show up in New York and are usually in studio in New York, and they're drinking and smoking cigars and having conversations. And then combat story is almost always remote. It's almost never in person. And this guy is a Apache helicopter pilot, and then he was in the CIA, and he interviews another wide variety of people. So this guy is a commander back during 9/11. So an interesting perspective. We almost always hear from the enlisted. So this is in perspective of a commander from back then. And then this week's conversation from last Saturday was the two guys, the people that taught Tom Cruise how to fly for the movie, and the people that filmed the movie Maverick. So, I mean, Tom Cruise knows how to fly, but they taught him how to fly so that it would look good in filming. And then these are the people that would fly the bad guy planes and the helicopter that filmed the whole thing. And they talk about how they film it as opposed to doing CGI and stuff, and all the craziness and the experiences they have in the cockpit. Great conversation. I guess that's it. So there's probably some other stuff that I didn't get to in here, but I was trying to fit 2 weeks worth of stuff in here. Again, thanks to the people that make it possible for us to spend time on this stuff. As we're able to, we'll spend even more time again. But the goal here is not to just reiterate all the headlines. If we had time, I tried to archive some of the headlines at the beginning of the newsletter, but I just didn't have the time to do that this week. But did want to focus on some of the things that are important out there that aren't necessarily the big news of the week. The people that aren't necessarily trying to come up with something to say each week or try to make the thing they're saying seem like the most important thing, but to focus on the people doing the consistent work, the work that's small steps that get us there incrementally. We do this on Wednesdays as well, whenever we can, to focus on Instagrams. The same kind of thing. Go through and take a look at what's focused on the Second Amendment over there. If anybody wants to say anything while we're live here, feel free to throw it in there. Otherwise, I'll say thanks again to Barbecue for the super chat. A bunch of people super chatted on Tuesday. Sorry, thanks for that on the the coaching show. I don't know, Clover hasn't showed up, but if Clover starts showing up again, we'll be doing the coaching shows on Tuesday. The idea is to give some inspiration and some motivation and some direction and some just have some conversation, start some conversations, and reach out to the people that are part of the creation of content to focus on the different elements of it each Tuesday. We do that in the morning, so it's mainly when Clover can do it, and gives us a chance to do something during working hours. Sometimes it's good for people, sometimes it isn't. If you'd like to have a conversation about something specifically, a project you're working on, or something that you need a way to, some fresh perspective on it, or some insight, feel free to reach out to me and we can set something up. More than happy to help out most of the time. Unapologetically saying night, got our Armed Women of America meeting tomorrow. Get to help some new members start their firearms journeys. Very cool. So I'll take that as an opportunity to talk about the chicks out there. So this is a big month for the girls. There was a DC project, kind of a preparatory visit to DC, sounds like. We saw some glimpses of that from Cheryl Todd and Diana earlier I guess it was last month technically, but recently. And then there's Girl and a Gun is coming up in this month, I believe, right? In Colorado. And we'll be posting more about that, but something like 600 ladies get together to increase their skills, to learn how to be better shooters, instructors, and activists, plus get together with 600 to 599 other ladies to experience essentially a festival, a carnival of gun awareness, education, and safety, changing the narrative, learning how to have effective conversations, effective debates, and essentially changing the face of gun ownership. The DC project is 50 ladies doing that. 600 ladies get together at Girl and a Gun. And then you get the Armed Women of America. It's AWA. It used to be Well Armed Women. That's what it started as. Now it's Armed Women of America. So this is a bunch of ladies who get together in small clubs at the local level. And I have no idea how many there are there, but it's probably more than 600. So while Girl and a Gun is probably focused on training, CCW, familiarization, maybe some marksmanship, potentially some gaming and some competition shooting. From what I understand, Armed Women of America is definitely focused on groups of ladies getting together with each other, hands-on, at ranges, grassroots, boots on the ground, teaching each other, welcoming and being ambassadors for other ladies, and learning how and setting the path for that evolution. So, creating the onboarding of new gun owners who are female to an environment that's being created, period. So we got a 3-tier that are just organizations that I can think of off the top of my head that a lot of the ladies that we are familiar with are active in, but there's way more. Then there's organizations like Cornered Cat, and we'll get into others, but Rick Ector, there's firearms training that's specific for ladies that's out there, and that's either focused on a time of the year or an event like Rick Ector's, which is also this year. So AWA, Armed Women of America, has a big conference in August this year in Branson, really. Right on. So I didn't know about Armed Women of America's conference, so I guess it's not on my radar. So that's an interesting one, but I'm assuming that again in 2023, they're not having a get together at the national level where they're not bringing up advocacy. And I mean, the ladies are probably already aware, but focusing again on the potential that the ladies have to change the entire narrative, to just change the whole thing. So I hear a lot of new doom and gloomers. I have to listen to them all the time. In between worrying about grip angles and what new red dot they're going to buy, they'll get all worried that their rights and their property are at risk because every time they cry rights and property, people don't listen to them. So most of them aren't paying attention to what the ladies are accomplishing out there. I'm not super. I don't believe that the ladies are going to just change everything dramatically almost overnight, but the potential is there. So pay attention to what they've got going on, and you'll definitely be a lot less stressed. If you're looking for places to support or people to support or projects to support, think of projects that are focused on the ladies that we just mentioned, the DC project, the Girl in a Gun, and Well-Armed Women. But I think I was also saying we've got whole other things including, and on top of that, besides the firearms instructors who are either female or focused on female students, we've got the females that are part of all the Dublin state level organizations and all the different gun clubs that are out there, and all the different all the different elements of the community, either in the industry or in the media or everywhere in between. And then the competition shooters, which is a whole nother level that I'm just not all that paying attention to. So, thanks for the opportunity. Hopefully you have a great, I'm assuming that's like your monthly meeting tomorrow. But thanks for giving us a chance to brag up the ladies and what they got going on at the end here. With that, we'll wrap it all up. So it's just about been an hour. So then thanks to the people that sponsor or support what we're doing through subscriptions over at the Patreon or here on YouTube as channel members. That adds up. It doesn't pay all the bills, but it certainly pays for the servers that keep the websites up. It helps pay for a lot of the software that we're using, and makes it possible for us to spend the time on these projects. The goal, though, would be to spend a lot more time on this. So I'm doing I encourage you to take a $20 bill, head over to Patreon, take $5 of that and throw it at us. Put that in our monthly $5 or whatever. It'll put you on one of our levels. I think it's the BLT level. And then take the rest of that $15 and go check out some of the stuff that we support over there. Search for some things over there. There's going to be people who are creating content. There's going to be people that are doing interesting things. There's going to be people that are facilitating stuff that you might be interested in. And you can be venture capital. You can be part of the creation of what you value. So if it's gun stuff, that's awesome. If it's something else, though, then check out what Patreon has to offer. I can tell you, as someone who has something to offer that is not in high demand, Patreon has made it possible for us to keep doing this. Like, there's no money in the YouTube side at all. I mean, there is money in YouTube, but not for what we're doing. There's no ads. There's no sponsorship of this. I can't get anybody to sponsor this. So the people that value this put a couple of bucks. They subscribe to the Patreon. They subscribe to the YouTube channel. And that adds up. And again, it pays for the servers that keep the different websites online, and it pays for the software that we use to update those and create new stuff. And then the time it takes to do the things that we do on the social medias and on this show. All right. Well, now I'm definitely coughing. I need to get something to drink. So we will end this one. Again, saying thanks to the people that join us live. If you're listening to this in the future, the only way we know you're out there is by leaving comments. So feel free to leave comments. We can address them next week or on our Tuesday shows. So tomorrow's Saturday. I've got something to do, so we may or may not be going live midday, afternoon, depending on where you are in the country. So stay tuned to find out if we are. Otherwise, we'll be back to pick you up later.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
Oh, and I got no pug this week because I gave him a little swimming pool. So whenever he gets super hot, he goes out there and sits in a swimming pool. So essentially, he's soaking wet all the time now because he goes out there all the time and sits in a swimming pool. So I'm not bringing him up here on the desk when he's soaking wet, and he's soaking wet right now. So maybe we'll get a new camera, swimming pool camera, and then you can look at him sitting in the swimming pool. He essentially goes out there, he walks in there, he sits down, and he gets up, and he comes back in here and sits back down. So he doesn't spend a lot of time out there, but there is a little baby puppy swimming about 3 or 4 times a day in Arizona right now.